think a lot of people are asking themselves if the MacBook Neo is the one. I've always used a lower end Mac like the iBook or MacBook Air, and I've used MacBook Pros in the past, but I like the portability of the smaller, cheaper models. In fact, my favorite Mac laptop ever was the 11-inch Air. I currently use the M4 Air, and as an M4 Air owner, what could possess me to buy a way less capable MacBook Neo? Well, not a what, but a who. My wife. More specifically, the sad, slow death of the 13-inch 2016 MacBook Pro hand-me-down that she's been using. That era was the worst. In fact, I originally bought the Touch Bar version, but I hated it so much that I returned it for the cheaper Function Key model. So the MacBook Neo got my attention. Not because it uses the same chip as my iPhone, and not because it comes in a bunch of fun colors, but for the value. Unboxing this thing, the experience is the same as every other modern Mac, except here you even get a charger. Just a 20-watt charger, but it's a charger nonetheless. But unlike my iPhone, I get a full desktop OS, though it is Tahoe, and that's definitely a mark against it. Apple needs to dial back the UI changes because Liquid Glass is a disaster. I bought the cheaper 256 gig model without Touch ID. You just get a lock key on here. The built-in speakers on here are great, at least coming from my experiences with MacBook Airs, and they're way better than that old 2016 Pro.
MacBook Neo has a stunning 13-inch Liquid Retina display for vivid images and sharp details.
The trackpad is also great. It's not quite as nice as the feel of a Magic Trackpad, but you can click anywhere and you don't really have any flex or any extra effort on the corners or anything. It's certainly way better than any other sub $600 laptop. I think the biggest turnoff for users like me would be the two USB-C ports. One is USB 3 at 10 gigs, and the other is USB 2. That's something I haven't seen on a Mac in years. But I guess it's better to have 2 ports than 1 if we're counting our blessings. Even the 8 gigs of RAM isn't as limiting as the ports on here, I think. I edit off an external SSD sometimes, and especially considering the slower internal storage, this is, I think, the Achilles heel for a lot of workflows that this could be used for. That's not to say it's impossible to edit 4K video or work on photos or sound. I just wouldn't buy the Neo if that's your main use case, or if you want to plug a bunch of devices into it through a dock. The thing this is made for is just being a laptop. And it's crazy to think this is on par with the M1 Air from 6 years ago with an architecture that's pulled out of an iPhone. Rounding out the hardware, the display is plenty sharp, the brightness is fine for indoor use. I mean, I don't really use laptops outside much. The fit and finish is Apple quality, which is to say it's kind of a surprise for a laptop in this price range. I did find it funny they're still using pentalobes here, but at least Apple's been using these weird screws for so long and so consistently that all my repair toolkits have bits for them now. On the software side, it's a Mac, for better or for worse. I used PyInfra and Ansible to set it up and benchmark it, and I've been using my Third Reality Zigbee smart outlet with Home Assistant to measure power consumption. It idles around 2 watts and maxes out at maybe 15 to 20 with the screen at full brightness. That does mean that if you're using the 20-watt charger that they gave you and you're running it full out, it's not going to be charging while you're doing stuff, so keep that in mind and maybe upgrade your power adapter. I ran GravityMark to get a baseline for GPU performance, and it scored around 15,000, which puts it on par with the M1. I ran some small LLMs. I mean, you're not going to fit that much in the 8 gigs on here, but they ran decently. Llama 3.23b was generating about 20 tokens per second. That's not bad at all. It's way faster even than the Orion 06 CPU in the Minisforum MSR1. The biggest thing that this has going for it is the memory speed on here. It's crazy considering it's using a phone chip. Tiny MemBench was showing 30 to 36 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. But the Achilles heel for performance is how it handles sustained load. My MacBook Air can render video okay. It throttles, but only after a few minutes and only a little bit. The CPU cores on the Neo start throttling after just a few seconds, and it's definitely not snappy the same way that my Air is even under load. Follow my SBC reviews issue on the Neo for more benchmarks, or I guess check out the literally hundreds of other reviews coming out this week. But bottom line, for people who use laptops like my wife, the Neo is certainly the one. But for me, I'll stick with my Air. It hits the right trade-offs for power and portability for video editing and coding.